Hello, hello. Time for another episode of Morning Coffee and Marketing. And we're coming to you here from the couch with Magnus and me. And I'm going to tell you a story about when I was in the roofing business years ago. Because we were able to rapidly build that business from when I got involved in it. It was a $200,000 a year business. And when I exited the business, 2 years and 2 months later or something like that, we were doing 1.94 million a year. So how did we make that big a change in such a small period of time? And the way is because I developed, the reason we were able to do that is because I developed a way to spend up to $1,000 to get a sale. Now, nobody else in that business at that time was spending even close to that. They were probably spending 50 or 100 or 150, and they very well may not even track it. They might have no idea how much they were spending. But I developed a system, a sales process that allowed us to, a marketing and sales process that allowed us to charge far more, and therefore I could pay far more, right? So it's kind of a closed loop. You have the sales process, which allows you to charge more money, and because you're charging more money, you can fund the sales process, right? The marketing and sales process. So it's kind of a loop, but here's basically what we did. Here's the system most roofers used. They would generate a lead, and they would send somebody out, and a guy would show up, a roofing salesperson. Sometimes it was the actual owner of the company, the roofer himself. Okay, well, actually, you know what? Let me start from the very, very bottom, from the most basic. The most basic is the owner of the company drives around and looks for roofs that are old and knocks on the door and says, "Can I give you a quote on your roof?" Okay. Your roof obviously is going to need to be changed in the next few years. Can I give you a quote on it? And that is, if you have nothing, you got to respect the hustle. If you have nothing, then at least you have the hustle, right? So that's good, but not exactly something I would want to build a business off of. So then the next step up from there is a company will have salespeople whose job it is to go knock on doors and find people to sell roofs to, insurance roofs, whatever. The next step up from there is the company will generate a lead with some marketing and give it to a team of salespeople who will then, or give it to a sales manager who distributes it among the team, and then each salesperson goes out and does a pitch. Okay, so fine, that's all fine. Here's what we did. We generate a lead with marketing. Once we had that lead, we would schedule the inspection no sooner than 3 days out. Okay, that's very important. No sooner than 3 days out. So then, after we got the lead scheduled for the appointment, then we would send a shock and awe package, which was a presentation folder, and it had a sales letter that was broken up into 7 different parts. Right. So the sales letter was broken up and rearranged so that it had 7 different parts in it. And it also had a testimonial book. It had a audio about an interview that I actually arranged for, although it wasn't obvious that I had arranged for it. An interview with a doctor who talked about the importance of air quality in the house and what happens if if you start getting mold in your attic space from roof leaks or from anything like that. How you get subclinical fungal infections and mold infections, and how it does terrible things to your immune system and blah, blah, blah. You get the point. And then we also eventually put a interview, which once again we arranged, but it was an interview with my business partner at the time, who was the owner of, we both owned the company, but he was the contractor. He was a licensed contractor in the company. So this whole package went out, FedEx. Now here's the thing, we would send it ground, but because it was within the same state, in Florida, I don't know if this is true all states, but in Florida, if you're sending it ground, it's not guaranteed next day, but 90+% of the time, 95% of the time, it gets there next day. So We go send it ground. That saved a little bit of money. But then these people get this thing in a FedEx envelope. They open it up, and it's this whole package that, I mean, nobody, they've never seen anything like it. No roofer has ever sent them anything like this. Now that, by the way, serves as an emotional first visit. Logically, they know that they've not had a first visit, but emotionally, the people now who are looking at the paperwork feel like they know the company. They feel like somebody's been out there already. So that helps close the sale, because emotionally speaking, when the salesperson actually comes out for the first time, it feels like the second visit. They know it's not. I'm not saying that anybody thought that it was a second visit, but emotionally it feels to them like a second visit. So we'd send that, and then we would send the salesman out, and we had a structured sales presentation that included red herring pricing. It also compared us to, so basically we were the highest priced company in the market except for Sears and Home Depot. So what we did in the presentation, we positioned our quality as equal to Sears and Home Depot, superior to everybody else's, and but less expensive than Home Depot or Sears, because you're not paying for the marketing. You're not paying to use the name. So in other words, you're not paying the local contractor to use the Sears name. You're just paying the local contractor. So you actually save some money and get an equivalent quality roof. So that was we sold for okay. We sold for most companies. I don't know if you listening to this know what a square is, but a roofing square is 100 square feet. It's 10 by 10. It's 100 square feet. So most companies at the time were selling for 300 to 325 per roofing square. We were selling at 400 to 450 per roofing square. And we were selling, no, I'm sorry, most companies were selling 250 to 300 per roofing square, and we were selling between 400 and 450 per roofing square. So we were selling at a large premium, and we closed a ton of business, and people loved us, and people wanted us to come back and do the work, and they referred us. I mean, we would get whole neighborhoods sometimes. So here's my point. We created a marketing system that positioned us to be top quality in the market, with the because it was call no sooner than 3 days. That gives the impression that we're not waiting around begging for somebody to call. They get the package in the mail. That kind of softens the beachhead, so to speak. It was a professionally done, beautiful package with all kinds of information in it. The salesperson comes out. The salesperson has an assistant who does the crawling on the roof and crawling through the attic, on all that stuff. Our salespeople didn't do that. We had a technician who went out with the salespeople to do that. That gave a much different presentation than most places. And essentially, by the time we got done, everybody believed that we were a much higher quality roofing company than everybody else who would come out. Now we actually did do great roofs. We did fucking fantastic roofs. So, that was, in some sense, it was true, but the people didn't know that before they called us. They only got that impression after they went through the marketing system. They were willing to pay us more money. We had red herring pricing, so we had some outrageously high price that nobody would ever pay. We knew they'd never pay it. That was fine. Then we had another price that was 400 to 450 a square, and then that seemed ultimately reasonable compared to the huge high price and compared to Sears prices and Home Depot prices, and they understood why we were more expensive than, we used to call them Drunken Roofer Inc. So there's Sears and Home Depot, there was our company, and everybody else we positioned in the sales presentation as Drunken Roofer Inc. So higher prices, we could spend more to get a client, and as a result, in the 2 years and 2 months, or 2 years and 3 months or something that I was involved in the company, we went from $200,000 a year to $1.94 million a year. This stuff is powerful. So I know this has been kind of a long one. I hope you've enjoyed it, and by all means, listen to it again, and leave me a comment. Let me know if you liked it, if you found value in it, and talk soon. Cheers.